Working the night shift changes you, especially when the things in the dark start working back. The Puget Sound ferry dock at Mukilteo was my outpost, a rain-slicked pier jutting into the fog where I ran the overnight shift. I'd been a deckhand for 8 months, guiding late-night commuters and truckers onto the 2A run to Whidbey Island. The job was a rhythm of wet boots on steel, the groan of the boat against the pilings, and the foghorn's mournful wail slicing through the mist. I liked the solitude, until it curdled. It was 2:43 a.m. when the car pulled up, a gray sedan, headlights dim, idling at the edge of the loading ramp. The last ferry had left an hour ago, no one should have been here. I grabbed my flashlight and a flare gun, standard issue for emergencies, and stepped out of the booth, the drizzle cold against my neck. The sedan's engine ticked like a heartbeat, but no one moved inside. "Hey!" I called, beam cutting through the fog. "Dock's closed. You lost." The driver's door creaked open. A man stepped out, tall, gaunt, in a soaked trench coat. He didn't speak, just stood there, face shadowed under a hood. My gut clenched. I tightened my grip on the flare gun. "Show me some ID," I said, voice steady despite the shiver crawling up my spine. He took a step forward, boots silent on the wet asphalt. Then another. Too fast. I raised the flare gun, shouted, "Back off." He didn't stop, lunged, hands outstretched, fingers pale and claw-like. I fired. The flare streaked red, hissing into the fog, illuminating his face for a split second. Hollow eyes, a grin too wide. He flinched but kept coming. I ran, slipping on the slick deck, his breath rasping behind me. The booth was too far. I bolted for the maintenance shed, slamming the door and shoving a crate against it. His fists pounded, a slow, relentless thud that shook the frame. I radioed the harbor master, then 911, my voice cracking as I begged for help. The pounding stopped. Silence pressed in, thick as the fog. Coast Guard showed up at 4A, their lights barely piercing the mist. The sedan was gone, no tire marks, just a puddle of oil where it had sat. They found a duffel in the bushes, rope, zip ties, a fillet knife still wet with salt water. "Probably a drifter," the officer said, shrugging. "Knew the ferry schedule. Lucky you had that flare." Lucky. It didn't feel like it. I quit the next day, took a warehouse job in Everett. But the fog follows me. Every damp night, I hear that ticking engine in the distance, feel that thud echoing in my chest. I keep the flare gun by my bed, check the windows when the rain starts. 2 nights ago, I woke to a faint scrape outside, metal on wood, deliberate. I didn't look. Some things you don't invite back. The Fire Lookout Tower on Mount Rainier was my refuge, a rickety perch above the evergreen sea, where I watched for smoke through the night. 6 months in, I'd grown used to the wind howling through the pines, the creak of the tower's wooden bones, and the endless drip of rain on the roof. It was just me, a radio, and a spotlight, no one else for miles. I thought I wanted that, until the footsteps came, the forest cloaked in a drizzle that blurred the world beyond my windows. I was logging weather stats when I heard it, a crunch, heavy and deliberate, on the gravel path below. I grabbed my binoculars and scanned the dark, nothing but swaying branches. The radio hissed static when I called base. "Anyone out there tonight?" No reply. I flicked on the spotlight, sweeping it across the clearing. A figure stood at the trailhead, stocky, in a poncho, head bowed against the rain. My pulse spiked. No hikers come up this late, not in this weather. I leaned out the hatch. "This is a restricted area. State your business." He didn't answer, just lifted his head, eyes glinting under the hood like wet stones. Then he started climbing the stairs, slow, each step a thud that rattled the tower. I slammed the hatch, locked it, and grabbed the axe from the woodpile. "Stay back," I yelled, voice swallowed by the wind. He reached the platform. The hatch shuddered as he pounded it, a steady beat that matched the rain's drum. I braced myself, axe raised, when he spoke, low, guttural, "Open it." My hands shook. I didn't. The pounding stopped, and I heard him descend, footsteps fading into the storm. Rangers arrived at dawn, soaked and grim. No sign of him, just a trail of muddy prints leading to a ditch, where they found a backpack, duct tape, a hunting knife, a map with my tower circled in red. "Some nutcase," they said. "Knew the back trails. Good thing you locked up." Good thing. It didn't erase the voice. I left the job, moved to Tacoma, swore off the woods. But the rain tracks me down. Every storm brings that thudding echo, a rhythm I can't shake. I keep the axe by my door, check the locks when the wind howls. Last week, I heard it, a faint crunch outside, slow and close. I stayed still. Some doors you don't open. The warehouse on Spokane's outskirts was a cavern of steel racks and shadows, where I pulled the night shift sorting packages for a delivery hub. For months in, I'd settled into the hum of the conveyor belt, the drip of a leak in the roof, and the faint whine of freight trains a mile off. Eastern Washington's dry chill seeped through the walls, but I liked the routine, until it fractured. The power flickered. Lights buzzed, dimmed, then steadied. I checked the breaker panel, nothing tripped. Then I heard it, a scrape, like boots dragging on concrete, from the loading dock. I grabbed my box cutter and a heavy flashlight, the kind that doubles as a club. "Mike, that you?" I called, hoping my supervisor was pulling overtime. Silence. I edged toward the dock, beam slicing through the gloom. The bay door was cracked open, 6 inches, enough for a draft to whistle through. I hadn't left it like that. My stomach knotted. I reached for the chain to yank it shut when a hand shot out, pale, grimy, gripping the edge. I stumbled back as a man hauled himself up, lean, in a torn jacket, eyes wild under matted hair. "Get out!" I shouted, brandishing the box cutter. "This is private property." He grinned, teeth yellowed and sharp, and stepped inside. I swung the flashlight, aiming for his skull. He ducked, grabbed my arm, and twisted. Pain flared, the cutter clattered away. I kicked free and ran, his boots pounding behind me, echoing off the racks. I dove into the break room, slammed the door, and wedged a vending machine against it. His fists hammered, a frantic rhythm that shook the walls. I called 911, whispering into the phone as the line crackled. He stopped, then laughed, a low, wet sound that iced my blood. When the cops rolled in an hour later, he was gone. The dock door hung wide, packages scattered, a laptop missing from the office. They found a glove in the alley, leather, stained, with a switchblade tucked inside. "Some junkie, maybe," the officer said. "Knew the cameras were down, lucky you fought back." I quit that night, took a clerk gig downtown. But the warehouse clings to me. Every creak in my apartment, every train whistle, feels like that scrape closing in. I keep the flashlight by my chair, check the doors when the lights flicker. 3 nights ago, I heard it, a laugh, faint and wet, drifting through the walls. I didn't move. Some echoes don't fade. These jobs paid my bills, but cost me my peace. Comment which story scared you most. Subscribe for more night terrors.